What is up, Filmalytics family? Welcome into the Filmalytics DFS show. I am your host, Chad Workman. Today on the show, we're going to break down the Week 6 Sunday NFL DFS main slate. I'll be referencing my DFS model throughout, so head on over to filmalytics.org to check that out. It's completely free, and it is basically somewhere in between lineup optimizer and a projection tool. That's basically what you'll find on the market. If you go out and look for DFS tools, you're going to find lineup optimizers and other things that are just based on projections. My model is somewhere in the middle, right? I don't want to build your lineup for you, but I want to provide you with a tool that's more extensive than just projections, right? So my model factors in, uh, you know, fantasy success, usage, the matchup, things like that, salary as well. And these are all weighted to produce a value score. And therefore, each player has its own his own value score. So I'll be referencing that throughout. But let's look at some of the matchups I like here on Sunday that my model likes as well. Starting out with Buffalo, Kansas City, that's the obvious game to stack here. Josh Allen is the top QB in my model. I mean, he's absolutely crushing it. There's no way around that. And we expect this to be a high scoring game, right? So makes sense that Josh Allen comes in as the top QB in my model. But I also like Isaiah McKenzie. He's a little bit of a deeper play. Obviously, you can pay up for Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, etc. But I like Isaiah McKenzie a lot at just $5,000. He comes in at wide receiver 28 in my model, and his usage has been trending in the right direction. He left week 4 with a concussion, but before that, in week 3, he played 52% of the snaps and ran 37 routes. He got 9 targets that week, and he was pacing towards pretty much the same numbers in week 4 before he left with the concussion. Obviously, Khalil Shakur played pretty well in his absence, but he's a rookie. I don't know how much he's going to play. Jamison Crowder is still out. He'll be sidelined again and probably for a few more weeks. On top of that, the Chiefs are allowing 22.48 PPR points per game out of the slot, which is the 8th most in the league. So, the Chiefs have been pretty vulnerable in that spot. They have a lot of injuries in the secondary. And Isaiah McKenzie, I mean, he was playing really well before he got concussed there. And I expect that to continue this week. So, again, pay up for Stephon Diggs at 8,400. Sure, but you can fit Isaiah McKenzie into a lot of lineups at $5,000. So whether you're stacking this game or not, I like Isaiah McKenzie as just an independent play. Obviously, Travis Kelce is the main bring back option from the Chiefs. I don't really like any of the receivers a whole lot, but one of them is probably going to have a really good day. We just don't know who it's going to be. My bet would be on MVS, but maybe Juju, maybe Hardman gets into it some as well. But I'm probably playing MVS, if any of them. Now, for some other games that are really have nearly as much potential would be Tampa Bay and Pittsburgh. Maybe I shouldn't say the whole game has that much potential, but Tampa Bay has the second highest over-under or sorry, implied team total of the Sunday main slate. So I'm pretty bullish on the Buccaneers, especially Tom Brady, who comes in at QB9 in my model at $6,300. He's thrown 52 times in the last 2 games each. And then the week before that, he threw 42 times. Mike Evans, wide receiver 8 in my model at $7,000. Pittsburgh has been pretty bad, right? I mean, we saw what the Bills did to them last week. I know it's the Bills, but Allen absolutely carved them up from kickoff, and I expect Brady to do the same. This offense has shifted. They're not really able to run the ball. They've shifted way more towards pass-friendly offense. Brady's airing it out a lot. I think they're going to lay a beat down on that Pittsburgh defense. So really like the Brady Evans stack. Even Godwin, who's getting healthy, 6,100. I think he's a good play as well. None of the Steelers wide receivers project that well in my model. I could see Deontay Johnson finishing with a very healthy target volume. But George Pickens is the one I like most, $4,600. So again, this is another player that can be in this game stack, or else he can fit into a lot of builds with that salary. And he's been trending upwards, kind of going through a little bit of a mini breakout. I could see him having a big one here. So really like George Pickens. Another game against all odds, the Seattle Seahawks. They're playing the Arizona Cardinals. Seattle has the second highest, the game has the second highest over under behind Buffalo and KC, which is kind of crazy to think about. But those are the only two games above 50. So you got to imagine there's going to be points scored. I think Geno is somewhat for real. I don't know that he's going to keep up this level of play, but um, I think he can sustain some success here. And he's only 5,700. He comes in at QB6 in my model in terms of just value. So really like the value there. They're airing it out a decent bit, and that's why Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf come in at wide receivers 6 and 7 in my model, respectively. Lockett is still pretty underpriced at 5,600. He's been absolutely balling, and Geno Smith has thrown it downfield to him. DK Metcalf is priced at 6,800. A pretty good value there too. I mean, he's still underneath what kind of the top tier receivers are priced at. So the way this offense is functioning, could easily see both of those guys getting home along with Geno, especially against the Cardinals, who they've been struggling on offense, but we know how explosive they are. And one thing that benefits Geno and these Seahawks pass catchers is their defense is pretty rough this year, right? So Kyler Murray's been struggling a little bit on the deep ball this year. Unfortunately, a new game of Call of Duty released this week, I believe. So, he's Kyler Murray's up against it this week, but I think he can get home against this defense. I'm probably stacking the Seahawks more so, but I do like Marquise Brown as a bring back option. He's wide receiver 4 in my model at 7,000. Really like Zach Ertz. He projects really well at 4,900. And honestly, all the Seahawks tight ends are decent dart throws as well. It's kind of one of those we don't necessarily know which one. I think Will Dissly grades out best in my model. He's actually tight end 7 at 3,100. But they do rotate those tight ends, so you could probably get away with playing Fant, maybe even Parkinson. But the Seahawks are giving up the most points to tight end, and the Cardinals are giving up the second most. So it's going to be a friendly matchup for tight ends, could be high scoring. So if you're not stacking this matchup, any of these tight ends from this game are a decent play, especially Ertz. But if you want to just take a dart throw on one of the Seahawks tight ends, it's kind of a good way to punt that position and gain some salary elsewhere. Some other players that just kind of stand out on this slate. Obviously, Nick Chubb is playing out of his mind. He's the RB1 in my model. Not a huge shocker there. He is 8,200. But the Patriots have been so against, running backs. So I think Chubb can get home here again. The Browns have done a really nice job of finding ways to get Chubb the ball in the right situations. Brissett is doing a good enough job, and Amari Cooper keeping defenses honest. They're spreading them out, and then Chubb is just gashing defenses. And we'll see. It'll be interesting to see what Belichick can do to stop him. But I think he's a good play again this week. On the opposite side, Ramondre Stevenson, RB7 in my model, absolute smash spot. $6,000 is his price, and this is kind of what we've all been waiting for, right? We boarded this hype train of Ramondre Stevenson in the offseason, waiting for him to kind of leapfrog Damian Harris. And this is what we've been waiting for. And the thing I like about Ramondre, for one, it's a good matchup, but also he can get home in so many different ways, right? Especially with Damian Harris out. He's going to get the ball around the goal line. He's going to be the early down back, but even before Damian Harris went down, Ramondre's targets were trending up. He got 5 targets in each of the last 2 games before last week. So, really like Ramondre here, smash spot. Saquon Barkley projects well, RB3 in the model. Don't have to tell you a whole lot about him. He's just a very good player. He's touching the ball at a really high rate and just producing so much for that offense. Brees Hall up to RB6 in the model, going up against Green Bay this week, but he's taken over that backfield and then some. They're doing a great job of getting him the ball. He's also seeing a ton of targets, so he's especially valuable in these DFS, DraftKings PPR type formats, because even though Michael Carter is still a piece of this offense, they're targeting Brees Hall. He's getting targets. He's running efficiently. So really like Brees Hall. Two of the other guys at receiver that I like, Isaiah McKenzie's kind of my favorite, guy that's a little ways down there this week. But I really like 2 other receivers. Jacoby Myers is one. He's wide receiver 15 at 5,300. He's been pretty elite when he's been on the field this year. Double-digit point totals in every game. I think he went over 24 last week. He's overtaken the wide receiver 1 role on this team. He's on the field all the time. Even looking back to last year, his production was really, really good. He just couldn't get in the end zone for the longest time. I think if you sprinkle in a few more touchdowns in there, I think the perception on Jacoby Myers is a little bit different. But he's absolutely balling right now. Wide receiver 15 in my model. Really like him. Devin Duvernay is another guy. He comes in at wide receiver 25. He's 4,700. Again, this is a guy that the Ravens are making a focal point of their offense with Rashad Bateman out, and Rashad Bateman seems unlikely to play this week. At best, he's going to be limited, but even so, Devin Duvernay is somebody that is getting targeted more and more. 7 targets last week compared to 5 the week before, but he also carried the ball 3 times last week. 12.8 fantasy points. I love the way that they got him involved in many different ways. And, this is a game against the Giants. Baltimore is going to be down Bateman. They don't really have many other playmakers in this offense. So it's really Mark Andrews and then Devin Duvernay, and then obviously Lamar doing Lamar Jackson things. But if Bateman can't go, they're going to get Devin Duvernay involved quite a lot. So, I don't know if I'm willing to spend up on Lamar this week, but I think Duvernay is a great play. A couple tight ends I like that I think provide really good value. Irv Smith is one. It's a good matchup. Miami is giving up the 8th most points to tight end. If we remove week 1 when he was kind of eased back into the lineup, he's averaging about 6 targets per game. So he's really been, along with him and KJ Osborne, both kind of been the number 3 there, 3-4. But obviously it's highly concentrated on Justin Jefferson. Thielen gets a good chunk, but then after that, it's really just Irv and KJ Osborne. We haven't really seen a big game from Irv yet since he's been back. I think we could see it soon, and this week is a great week for it. He comes in at tight end 11 in my value with his value score based on $3,200 salary. So pretty good price there. Obviously, David Njoku is absolutely killing it. He's tight end 5 in the model at just $4,000. New England is giving up the 10th most points to tight ends. And just the way that they're using him, the passing offense is basically him and Amari Cooper, and then, some shots to DPJ. So really like David Njoku yet again. And then lastly, I think George Kittle's in a good spot this week. He's due for a breakout game, right? We haven't seen that big game from him yet. He's kind of known for those spiked weeks, and Atlanta's giving up the 4th most points to tight end. He's priced at 5,100. I think this could be the week where he gets going. And even at 5,100, if you're not totally sold, I mean, look at Mark Andrews is 7,000, Travis Kelce 7,800. After that, I mean, Goddard's $5,000, Kittle's right there at 5,100. So he's really pretty affordable compared to those top tier tight ends, and he really is in a very good spot this week. So really like him. That's going to do it for the main slate here on week 6. Remember, head on over to filmalytics.org. Check out the DFS model for yourself. It's a really good tool just to help you build a lineup, just to reference for kind of who's the good values are, where you want to start building your team. And then, of course, find some really good value plays in there, like your Isaiah McKenzie, Devin Duvernay's, guys like that. Give us a follow on Twitter at filmalytics_. Reach out to myself if you want to just talk DFS at Tweets by Chad, or any fantasy football. I'm always down to chat on Twitter. And hit us with a subscribe on Patreon, patreon.com/filmalytics. We putting out a lot of great content, Dynasty, Redraft, and DFS. So head on over there, and we'll see you next week.